Two people, same pain, same pressure, same circumstances. One of them burns out, the other one keeps going. And the reason has nothing to do with willpower, nothing to do with toughness, nothing to do with how much pain a person can physically take. There is one specific thing that the person still standing is doing inside their mind that the other person isn't. And once researchers actually identified what it was, they ran an experiment that proved it so clearly it's almost hard to believe. A simple psychological shift that made people endure pain dramatically longer, not by feeling less of it, but by changing what their brain believed the pain was for. That shift explains why some people push through the hardest seasons of their lives and come out stronger, while others, equally capable, equally intelligent, hit a wall and completely burn out. And more importantly, it's not a personality trait. It's not something you're born with or without. It's something you can actually do, starting today. There is a psychology experiment that demonstrates this with almost uncomfortable clarity. Researchers took two groups of people and gave them the same task: submerge their hands in ice-cold water and hold them there as long as possible. Identical temperature, identical physical sensation, identical stress response in the body. The only variable between the two groups? One group was given a reason, the other wasn't. One group knew what the discomfort was in service of. The other group was simply asked to endure it. The results weren't subtle. The group with a reason lasted dramatically longer, not because of physical superiority, not because they felt less pain, but because the moment the brain had a why attached to the experience, the entire way of process that pain shifted. Now, here's the thing. This isn't really a study about cold water. This is a study about relationships that are going through difficulty, careers that demand sacrifice, recovery that takes longer than expected, every form of sustained human suffering that asks something from you over time. And it raises a question that most people have never actually been asked. When you're in pain, do you know what it's for? Viktor Frankl was a psychiatrist before the Second World War took everything from him. He spent years inside Nazi concentration camps watching human beings endure conditions that most of us genuinely cannot comprehend. And as both a survivor and a trained psychologist, he was in a unique position to observe something that most people missed entirely. The people who lasted, who kept their minds, who came out the other side with something still intact inside them, weren't the most physically powerful. They weren't the ones who had suffered the least. They were the ones who had a reason to survive. Something specific, something personal, something that made the suffering meaningful rather than just unbearable. His conclusion became one of the most quoted ideas in all of psychology. A person who has a why to live can bear almost any how. And decades later, neuroscience caught up to what he observed. When the brain has meaning attached to pain, it activates the prefrontal cortex, the region responsible for long-term thinking and emotional regulation. And that activation physically dampens the distress signals running through the nervous system. The brain stops processing the experience as "this is destroying me" and starts processing it as "this is building me." Same pain, same body, a completely different neurological reality, which reframes the entire question. It was never really how much can a person take. It has always been, does a person know what they're taking it for? This is where it gets important because it reframes something that almost everyone gets wrong. Burnout has been treated like an energy crisis, like a battery that's been drained and needs recharging, so the solution handed out is always the same. Rest more, do less, set better limits, protect your time. And those things have genuine value. But there's a deeper layer that rarely gets touched. The most common cause of burnout isn't doing too much. It's enduring too much without knowing why. There's a critical difference between someone who is tired from meaningful work and someone who is emptied by purposeless suffering. Both are exhausted, but one of them has something to come back to. The other one doesn't because somewhere along the way, the reason quietly disappeared while the demand stayed exactly the same. That's why just push through it, one of the most repeated pieces of advice in existence, so rarely works. It addresses the effort without ever asking about the meaning. It's essentially telling someone to run harder without ever asking where they're going. The problem was never the running, it was the missing destination. So here's what the research is actually pointing toward, and it's a small shift with an outsized impact. Instead of asking, how do I get through this? Ask, what is this pain actually for? Not a surface answer, not the version that sounds responsible or logical. The real answer, the one that makes the difficulty feel like a worthwhile price rather than just an unfair cost. Is it in service of a future that genuinely matters? Is it building something, a skill, a life, a version of something that wouldn't exist without the difficulty? Is it a demonstration of something to someone's respect is worth earning, including yourself? The most enduring people in history across every field, every era, every culture weren't people who experienced less pain. The research is consistent on this. They were people with more reasons, deeper reasons, reasons personal enough that the suffering felt like part of the process rather than just proof it wasn't working. That is the difference. Not toughness, not genetics, not some trait distributed unevenly at birth. Meaning, deliberately found, consciously held. Pain without a reason is one of the heaviest things a human being can carry. But pain with a reason, even hard, long, relentless pain, becomes something the mind can metabolize, something that can coexist with hope, something that moves a person forward rather than just grinding them down. The moment meaning enters the picture, the brain rewires the entire experience, not because the pain disappears, but because it has an answer to the question it was always quietly asking underneath everything. Is this worth it? Give it a reason, a real one, a personal one, and watch what becomes possible. One question before closing. Is there something difficult you are carrying right now that has never been given a clear reason? And what would change if it had one? Leave it in the comments. That conversation is worth having.